As this semester comes to an end, it's time to officially wrap up season 3 of Beyond the Venue podcast. I've been super busy working on my PhD application, as well as teaching and taking classes. It's been a really stressful semester, but I know it's working towards something good. I know I talked a lot about toxic workplace culture as an intended focus, but I've actually decided to focus more on motivation and creativity in the classroom. I actually pulled a few ideas from this past season for my PhD application. To give you a little insight of where I'm heading, here's an excerpt from my statement of goals I'm working on as a part of my application. Returning to the classroom has not only reignited my passion for teaching, but also my curiosity surrounding human behavior, specifically motivation, creativity, and vulnerability in the classroom. As students, do they think about how they contribute to the classroom experience? What factors contribute to them showing up as their authentic selves? What are the internal and external motivational factors that drive them? Are there systemic barriers in place that prevent them from achieving their goals? As professors, how can we be of service to our students? How do we promote the classroom as a psychologically safe space, or better yet, a brave space? How can we ensure we are showing up with vulnerability to model that behavior for our students? How can the idea of hospitality in the classroom improve learning? I imagine that most of these questions sparked by my curiosity have already been researched, but I would like to be a part of that conversation. A PhD in education would fully develop me as a scholar, giving me a chance to learn and understand theories and strategies already in place and then find the gaps, asking what we as teachers can be doing to improve the learning experience and ultimately motivate our students. I want to thank each and every one of my guests that I've had over this past season. I know it was a little bit unorthodox and a little bit of a different format, incorporating the clips from my students from last semester's leadership class, but I really enjoyed the conversations that we had, and I loved being able to share the ideas from my students with my guests. So first off, Liz, thank you so much for being a mentor to me over the years, and now I still have my little MG for president little handwritten note that you gave me. So who knows? Maybe one day president of a university. We'll see where this world takes us. Sarah Zero, I know that our episode was basically my love letter to Wellstruck, but I can't highlight enough how important being a part of the Wellstruck community has been for me. It was an integral part of my mental health and well-being during the pandemic. I know that I found my people, and I'm very grateful for my development as an entrepreneur that is directly related to my development as both a human and now as a professor. James, I miss our quarterly chats. It's been great actually getting to work on the podcast with you because it gave us a chance to talk. And so I think it's a good reminder of, setting time aside to catch up with your friends when life gets so busy and chaotic. Daniela, where to even begin? You were the one that asked me to host this podcast, and I would not have had 3 seasons of a podcast without you. So thank you for your guidance, your editing skills, your friendship, and we'll we'll see if we ever make time for season 4. We'll see where this world takes us. Becky, education with enthusiasm. What you're doing with your DEI work, with your current role is fascinating, and I loved how you brought the exact same energy to my classroom, having a very similar conversation. Even my students referred to you as the remote control lady because you are making a remote control that's accessible for everybody. Alyssa and Nicole, my longtime friends. Nicole has been an integral part in helping me with my statement of goals. She has an admissions background, so a part of her formal training, as we talked about in our episode. Nicole was able to take my original statement that I wrote and completely flip it upside down and ask me why, explain this more, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. So Nicole, I can't thank you enough for your help with my application. And then with Alyssa, your help during our podcast recording, talking about, asynchronous learning and meeting, that was super helpful of giving me a framework for how I was going to teach, asynchronously when I wasn't really sure how to approach that for my team processes class. So I will say I am excited that the team processes class in the spring semester will be back to 100% in person. So I will no longer be teaching asynchronous classes in the spring, but it's good to know for future classes. Ben, Dr. Ben, you've been my mentor, you've been my friend, giving me advice, throughout, this past year of how to be a better teacher, um, you know, pointing me in the right direction. And I know it was your end goal to ultimately get me back into academia, and you finally won. So, um, I wouldn't be in the position I am, without your help and your guidance. So thank you for bringing me into the fold. And my last guest, Dr. Mike, I'm so grateful to have heard your story through this interview process. And it's been really inspiring to go from this hospitality background to, really, really caring about students through a different lens. And I'm just very, very, very motivated to kind of quote unquote follow your path. Lastly, I want to thank my students, both the ones whose voices you heard this season. I also want to thank all the students that I've had, over this past year. All the students that I've had, even since I was a little Fulbright scholar back in, when I was 24, 25, that I feel like every class I've ever taught that I've learned something new from my students. And, it's what keeps me going. Most importantly, I have to thank you, my listeners. If I didn't have anyone listening to this podcast, then what's the point? So thank you for supporting me over these last couple of years. It's obviously been an absolute roller coaster. I'm not really sure when we'll come back for season 4, but all I can say is stay tuned for updates on our Instagram page at Beyond the Venue Podcast. And, if you missed any episodes, they'll be up on my website and on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms for hopefully eternity. Thanks again. Class dismissed.
This is a Bethesda production.